What is good, you guys? I hope you guys are all having a beautiful start to your weeks. Oh, hell yeah. Perfect. Waiting on TOS here, but I hope you guys all had a good start to your weeks. We went basically 3 for 4 today. What's up, Brian? What's up, Michi, Logan? All right, let's get into it here. All right, beautiful. First off, I do want to go over the trades we took today. We took what did we take? PLTR, SMCI, and Hood. So PLTR, we did take this off open, got pretty nasty wick out here, but ended up catching this on the second candle of the day on the 931 candle from about 189.40 all the way up to the 191 break, which made back for a decent amount of that original stop. Next up, we took SMCI here at, what is this, 50 and 59 cents. I ended up getting in here at the high of daybreak. We had beautiful follow through on this, but honestly, after the way PLTR was moving in the morning, I was a little sketched out with the price action, so I ended up taking profits a little bit earlier than I wanted to on this, but either way, nice clean trade, no drawdown here, and the fourth trade of the day, and the final trade of the day. We took Hood here at 146.56, which was a level I had from the 4-hour and the 1-hour. Once again, beautiful breakout on this. Actually, really clean follow through as well. But did end up taking profits a bit earlier on this as well. I think the initial trade for the day with the wick on PLTR kind of sketched me out for the rest of the day, which is a little unfortunate. I try to separate my trades as much as possible, but it's a little hard to ignore the price action we've been seeing. So anyways, we got in here, let's see, we got in at 941, so on this candle right here, sold half on this 942 candle, and then sold the rest on 943 candle as we broke above 50 cents. So once again, another beautiful trade, very minimal drawdown. I don't know what, oh, never mind. I was gonna say, I don't know what's going on with the stream, but I think we're good. You guys can all hear me, right? Good to go. But anyways, those were the trades we took today. Actually, really nice start to the week. And yeah, that is the trades we took. That is what I wanted to go over before we got into the charting session here. By the way, if you guys want to trade live with me and the team, click this first link in the description right down there. And you can get 3 days for free in the chat. So join up. I say this every time, but it's free, so you might as well use it. Or free to try out at least. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it here. For those of you that are new here, I'm going to be going through my watch list and going over what I like and what I probably don't like for the rest of the week. But actually, before we do that, I want to bring up the news and the earnings for this week, because we have a ton of earnings this week that is pretty much taking out all of our big hitters we typically trade. We also have FOMC announcements on Wednesday here. I don't know how clear this is coming through in the stream, but should be able to. There we go. So anyways, we do have FOMC at 2 on Wednesday. Powell speaking at 2:30. So usually, not always, but usually FOMC weeks are pretty nasty as far as the price action goes. But I will say, with the last basically month's worth of price action we've had, I was not expecting much different because we've pretty much been having FOMC week price action every week for the past month. So, anyways, as far as tomorrow's news goes, we have consumer confidence at 10, and that is really the only news I'm paying attention to tomorrow. And then obviously Wednesday, like I said, we have that FOMC announcement at 2, and that's going to be the main thing that would be holding back any type of clean price action this week. I mean, so far so good, but if we do see chop, it would not be surprising whatsoever. And I always set my expectations extremely low for setups and for price action on FOMC week, just because there is a lot of waiting around. But for the rest of the week here, we got GDP pre-market on Thursday, jobless claims as usual, natural gas report at 10:30. And then on Friday, we have Chicago PMI at 9:45. So I actually, this might sound weird, but I actually enjoy the 9:45 news. The 10 o'clock news is fine as well, but anything at like 10:30, I just don't like waiting around that long for that news to come out. But in a lot of cases, the 9:45 news is actually helpful to us, because if we don't get the move we're looking for off of market open, we still have a chance for that to basically reset the day. And then as far as earnings go, the earnings I'm paying attention to this week are Microsoft, Meta, Google, possibly Carvana, and then Amazon, Apple, Coin, MSTR, and Reddit are also this week. We have BA pre-market on Wednesday, so we've got a lot of our big hitters here are being taken out basically until Friday. And when I say taken out, I don't mean you can't trade them. I just mean that I don't trade stocks that are about to have earnings, because not only are the contracts absolutely juiced, they typically don't move very well either. So basically avoiding Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon, Apple, Coin, MSTR, and Reddit up until Friday morning. Well, I guess these I'll be looking at on Thursday, but you guys get what I'm saying. So we're going to go through the watch list here, however limited it may be, and we're just going to see what we've got cooking. I'm also trying something new with this little circular webcam thing down here in the bottom. I don't know if you guys like that or not, but I feel like it kind of looks better than the regular. Let's see. Airbnb, this thing hasn't had volume in years. However, this setup doesn't look too bad. Really can't do anything with that though, because of the lack of volume. AMD, I do still like it up here at 263.49, which is the all-time high. So I will be keeping this on the watch list, and I was gonna say possibly look for an entry at high of day from today, or yeah, that is high of day. But that is pretty far off. So those are probably going to be two separate trades to be looking at there. I may just look at high of day from today for a scalp, and then look at this all-time high for a completely separate trade, because that is a pretty big distance to cover in a short time frame. ARM. We have earnings on that this week? No, we don't. All right. This actually had super solid volume today. Let's see. Okay, so we got a couple upgrades on this. Interesting. All right, ARM actually piques my interest here. I like 183.16. I don't know that I would be able to take it anywhere before that, but if we get up to today's high, that actually is something worth looking at, in my opinion. The volume is solid. Contract pricing is solid. I don't think I've seen ARM with this good of contract volume in a very long time, so definitely interested in that. Let's see here. AVGO, 365 would be interesting as well. Target wise, I wouldn't really have much of a specific target on this other than a trend, because our next resistance is not up until 372, which is insane. But I like that we're at a whole number here, psychological level. I do like that. And we have, once again, we have pretty clean room all the way up to 372 on this as well. All good there. Coin has earnings. Circle, let's see. This is a pretty aggressive wedge we're in here. But I don't think that I can do anything with that in the meantime. CRM, I'm good. Crowd. Actually, crowd, I was looking at this 535.52 and we just tanked off open and held down here the whole rest of the day and had no contract volume. So that one is probably off the list. Keep trying to give these lower volume stocks a shot because I usually just write them off immediately and say, okay, there's never any volume on this. So been trying to give them a little bit of a shot here. 4 hour, not bad. On what, Michi? I just skipped through like 4 different things. Oh, AVGO, yeah, AVGO looks clean. Looks very clean. I like this. Other than those trends right there, that might be one of my favorites that I've seen so far. AMD is cool and all, but I don't even know that I would expect that much of a move from another all-time high. Like this move right here is already massive, so I don't know that they have much gas left in the tank there, even if we do come up for another. AVGO looks clean. Only thing I'm not a big fan of is the 5-minute trend here that only gives us about $1 of room, which even for AVGO, $1 of room is still enough to make it a worthwhile trade, but 365.50 to 367.80. Yeah, I think on this, I'll probably just be targeting a trend. I do think, I mean, we've got a good possibility that this thing just pops off and ends up seeing 372 same day, but I'm realistic with myself in saying that there's a very low chance that I would ever hold for that big of a move because it is just not the style of trading that I do. Hood, I would be interested again at the 149.20. I think Hood has proved itself to be very strong compared to the rest today. I mean, I guess by the end of the day, maybe not so much, but this morning, this was super, super strong. We've got plenty of room up on this. I think that any new high we can get on Hood, I'm going to be interested in, as long as it's not, you know, pre-market high and we just had a high set pre-market as well. Like that would be the only scenario where I wouldn't be interested in some sort of new high for Hood. INTC, I'm all good. You know, KO really let me down. KO really let me down. However, it still doesn't look too bad. Let's see. Have we already broken this? We did. Okay. Yeah, I'm good there. Meta has earnings. Next up. Marvel. Marvel, if you like this stock and you like trading this stock, you could get away with looking at high of day, but it's not good enough to make the watch list, in my opinion. MSTR has earnings. MU, let's see. MU is coming back down here. I think MU low of day would not be bad. We are kind of far right now, but I guess we're not crazy far, but this thing has been on a tear. My target for this would most likely be this previous resistance at 214.75 because we can very easily bounce off of that, but below that, I guess before that we have a next support here too, but below this 214 break would probably be my final target realistically. We've got room down. We've got a lot of supports here set all the way down now that you could look at, but I think realistically my final target for this would probably be the 214 break leading into this 213.87 support right here. So I am gonna go ahead and change the color of this actually, just so I know what we're looking at. Okay. Yeah, I like MU downside for sure. Nvidia, let's see. I don't think that I will be a huge fan. I haven't traded Nvidia in a long time, I feel like. It's been a while. I think that streak is going to continue. There's so many things that like we could try and just mark out and throw on the watch list, but I know some of you guys are going to be like, well, maybe not right now, but tomorrow morning at least, I'm sure that I'm going to get a, what about Nvidia? Or what about this? Or what about that? Where like there technically is some things we can look at, but just not worth it, in my opinion. PLTR, I don't think that I'm going to be looking at anything on this. Actually, if I would be looking at anything on this, it would probably be downside. Not touching the video till 193.54. I guess I didn't even look. Yeah. Same here, most likely, Michi. I don't think that I really even like it there. I don't think I'm a big fan of this until like 195. Yeah. Anyways, let's see. PLTR, I think, yeah, for me, I do like PLTR to the downside. We have like kind of sort of a gap here, not really anything crazy, but we have one on the daily, but we almost, actually, technically we do have one on the smaller time frames as well. That is not what I was trying to do. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll probably put PLTR downside on the watch list as well. And then PayPal, we've got earnings. This, I don't think we're going to have anything on for a hot minute. We did trade this one time though, I believe, right? Yeah, we did. It was just, I don't think there was any signal for it because it was low volume. I wasn't trying to mess with all that. SMCI, I believe I will pass on this as well. Yeah. And then let's see if we've got anything on Old Faithful down here. Oh, we actually do. Wow, not at all how I wanted that to look on the 1 minute. Possibly 460.16. Other than that, I am probably all good. You're all right. You're at perfect timing here. We're about to start actually making the watch list. Okay. So we've got AMD, ARM, AVGO, Crowd, Hood, MU, PLTR, and maybe Tesla if I still like it enough by the time we get back down here. That's crazy. Why do we have more setups on FOMC week than we have in the past month? Like I haven't taken 3 trades in a day, or actually 4 trades today, but 3 separate stocks in 1 day in a very long time, and this is supposed to be like the week where we don't have anything. Okay, I'm just gonna copy and paste AMD from this morning here because nothing has changed. I'm gonna put another AMD down here and just star it or something. Looking at the 260.42 have day for a all right. We have main AMD and then we have starred AMD here. Actually, maybe we'll just put this in front of there too. All right. Next up, we've got ARM. Let's see here. ARM, looking at the 183.16 high of day after an aggressive rally, targeting momentum into the 184 break. And I believe the other targets on this are going to be up to trends. Wow, okay, so the trends are giving us even more room than... For some reason I thought we had some trends right above there. All right, I guess not. Targeting momentum into the 184 break. Actually. All right, looking to scale out of part of my position at the 184 break, then targeting momentum into 185. Next up, we've got AVGO. AVGO was the one with the trends. All right. AVGO. Looking at the after hours high at 365 for entry, targeting a move to the 366 level, then the 15-minute uptrend at 367.03 for my final target. All right, there we go. Next up, we've got Crowd, which I am not putting on the watch list. I don't know why I had that listed still. So next up, we actually have Hood. Looking at the 149.20 high of day, playing this into the 150 break. And we have room all the way up to 151.12. Hood is on the ban list. How is Hood on the ban list, Kev? We hit a banger today on Hood. Kev must not be in the chat. Nope, not MSTR, MU. All right. I trade the break and retest. It chopped around when I entered. I sold for break even. Yeah, no, the break itself was beautiful. Okay, MU. Of course, Ward. Oh, I'm sorry, 215.74. Looking at the low of day at 215.74 for entry. Targeting a move to our next supports at, well, 215.42, 214.75. Then my final target at the 213.87 support. All right. Beautiful. Next up here, PLTR. All right, PLTR. Looking at the pre-market flat bottom slash head and shoulders pattern for entry. Right. Pre-market flat bottom slash head and shoulders pattern at 187.24 for entry. After we broke and wicked a new all-time high on higher time frames, we could see an aggressive reversal. Targeting momentum below 187. After that, we have room down to the all right, no trends. Oh. No, that one's already all right. All right, there we go. Then Tesla, I'll throw this in here for fun. Why not? Tesla looking at the high of day at 460. Scalp. We have the right approach. I will be looking for an entry before 460. Targeting momentum. All right. So AMD, we're looking to this for upside, ARM upside, AVGO upside. Then we have Hood upside. We have MU downside, PLTR downside, and Tesla upside. Sweet. I think that this is everything I've got for you guys. So if you guys want to use this remaining 20 minutes here to turn this into a Q&A, feel free to ask any questions you've got, and I am happy to sit here and answer them. If not, we can go ahead and wrap it up early, but I would love to answer your guys' questions if you have any. So if you're not in the floor and you're not in the chat, and you want to trade live with me and the team, click the first link in the description right there. It's free for 3 days, so use it. Also, screenshot this, save it, do whatever you want to do with it. Anybody that's in the floor right now, I'm going to be sending it into the chat. So you guys will have it there and ready to go. But anybody else that's not in there, like I said, make sure you screenshot that, save it, put it to use if you want. I'm going to give you guys just a minute here to come up with your questions. I'll go ahead and put it for 2 minutes here. Did you ever have a regular job before trading? I did. I had multiple. And I continued having a regular job while trading for a long time. I think it's a very smart idea to make sure that you are fully ready before you make it your only thing. I worked at a Ford dealership for a couple of years, and I worked at UPS for a couple of years as well. I worked night shifts at UPS, so I had the days free. It was either 2 or 3 years ago. I don't even know how long it's been now. But basically, whenever I knew that I could cover everything that I needed to cover in a day. Okay, hello. I sure can. Let's see. What do you want me to cover on this, Logan? There's not much for me to look at here. Not only is there a massive lack of volume, there's not much. I mean, we're breaking out of a 5-minute downtrend channel. You could probably look at this resistance at 139 if you just really want to trade this stock. But other than that, I mean, I'm not a massive fan. As long as you're approaching the setup correctly, though, you can pretty much get away with trading anything that you want to trade. I think that's a big part that people don't realize is like, as long as you're approaching the trade correctly and in the right mindset to make sure that the trade makes sense for you to take, you can pretty much get away with taking whatever you want. I just obviously have setups that I prefer because I've seen them happen time and time and time again, but it's a fine setup. What do you mean by that? Glued to stocks? I don't know how you would use house money in trading, unless you're talking about like prop firms. I think the easiest way to do it is use your own capital. I also think that's the most realistic and consistent way to do it, but it just depends. I'm not completely against prop firms. I think it's fine, as long as you're, picking one that isn't going to completely screw you. But you got to understand that their whole entire business model is to screw you. Like they want you to fail, because if you don't fail, it's costing them money. Oh, I thought you were talking about prop firms. Yeah, no, I think that depending on what your starting amount is, I don't think that you should really ever be adding to the account. I think you should be trading with what you have, as long as you're starting with like a relatively realistic amount. Like, I get it, if you're starting because you want to start right now and the only thing that you can throw in there is a couple $100, then that's a different story, because you are basically trying to swim with your hands and feet tied, and it's just, you can do it, but it is extremely difficult. It would be extremely difficult for anyone. So if you're starting with like that little of an amount, sure, add to your account. But I think once you get to the point where you're at 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever, I don't think you ever need to add. I think you need to work with what you've got, because if you can't do it with 1,000 or 2,000, you can't do it with 5 or 10 or 20, right? So it's by the time you would get to the point where you are good enough to be trading with that amount of capital, you will already have naturally got yourself there. Like I've said this a million times, my journey from 2 to 5K took me way longer than it did from 5 to 15 or 15 to 20, or to PDT. I think 5 to PDT took almost as long as 2 to 5. And I touch on some of my biggest L's. Can you elaborate? What are some losses that stick out to you most? I mean, the one loss that will always stick out to me most out of everything is back when I was trading penny stocks, because I literally had not taken a single loss ever. Like my win rate was 100% until it was not. And it was like I'm going to say I had an okay grasp on what I was doing, but I really technically did not. I think there was a combination of a little bit of skill and luck going into it. But I literally, like, I traded in the summers when I was off of school, and my first week back to school, I blew all of my profits from the entire summer because I was trying to take a trade in class and I was stupid. And I was on my phone, and I think my goal on that trade was to make $200 because I didn't have any actual reason for exit or reason. I mean, I had some reasons for entry, but I didn't really have any like set in stone reasons for exit. So I was trying my best to, just, I want to make $200 on this trade. And I think I was up like 180 something. I got told to put my phone away. I put my phone away. I only needed 20 more bucks or whatever. And yeah, I mean, pretty much wiped the entire summer's worth of work in one trade that I should not have been taking anyways. So that's always going to be the one that sticks out most, because it was like I was looking back on it and I was like, first of all, I didn't know what to do, because at that point I was just like, do I even get out at this point? But reflecting on that in the following days was like, I could have bought a motorcycle. Like, I don't know. Who are some of my biggest mentors for trading? I honestly could not even give you a genuine answer on that anymore. I have no idea. I really do not know. You'd be able to go over some setups you kind of look for on a whiteboard, and maybe what you look for when a setup is forming, or just what looks good for an entry. Be a loaded question and one for another time or video. Yeah, I mean, I can go over essentially exactly what you're asking. It's just there's a million different scenarios. So like, I'll just go ahead and use a scenario from today, and I'll tell you why I liked Hood. Or actually, you know what? Hood really did not have much of an approach. Hood was just extremely strong compared to the market, and it was leading into a big level on the 4 hours. So we'll go ahead. Let's look at SMCI. And SMCI is just a better example for explanation because we did have some sort of a setup going into it. Obviously, the things that I'm always looking for, you guys already know. I'm looking for levels. I'm looking for my supports and my resistances. Those are the levels that I'm basing my trades around. But obviously, sometimes your entry is going to be your best entry. Sometimes is not going to be directly right at that level. Your best entry sometimes is going to be when you have a situation like SMCI today. So SMCI, I noticed first of all, it was extremely strong compared to the market. When I say the market, I'm talking about NQ and ES. Now, second of all, it was way stronger than almost everything else. So that was one thing that already weighed heavy in my decision making for whether I wanted to take this trade or not. All right. Now we also had this level right here, which isn't really a level I would typically play. It was a previous support that should be or should have been acting as a resistance now, which isn't typically something I would play. But just the strength that SMCI had in the first place, I liked how it looked. So we super strong coming all the way up here, had a pullback, and now we have this nice inverse H pattern or bull flag pattern, whatever you want to call it. They tried selling it off, buyers bought it right back up, and they got extremely aggressive on this candle. You can see if you look at the volume here, it was pretty much all buying on this candle and way above average volume. So on this candle, we had 359,755 in volume. The average volume for the day was 42,712. So average volume versus the volume we had was pretty crazy there. And like I said, it was almost all buying. Also, this is only a few minutes into market open, so that average volume can really only be taken with a grain of salt. But either way, a lot of volume on this candle. And we had this inverse H pattern here that I could take into the levels. So even if we did reject the level itself, we would have had about this much buffer room between where I'm in and where the level is going to have some type of reaction. So pretty much any time that I can have a pattern that I can play into a level, that's going to be something that I like for entry. So the setups themselves, they are important. Obviously, the quality of the setup is important, but I think anything that I'm willing to put on my watch list is already a fairly good quality setup. I'm not going to put anything on there that's just absolute complete trash that I don't like at all, because if I don't like it, I'm not going to trade it. And there's no point in wasting my time putting it on there. But any setup that's making its way to my watch list by default is already an okay setup. The thing that matters a little bit more than the setup itself is the way that we are. You know, I've spoken English for 23 years. I think I can get through this sentence. The approach is more important to me than the setup itself. The reason for that is if we're having an approach into a level that just does not look like it can give me the follow through that I need, that is a major red flag, and that would be where you avoid the trade. This right here was literally screaming green flags from the moment I started looking at it, which was actually basically right after we got out of the second PLTR trade. So what was that? Literally second candle of the day. So right after that is when I was looking at SMCI. So I was looking at SMCI on this 933 candle. That's where I started watching it. And from the moment I started watching it, everything about this was screaming green flags. Way stronger than the market. We got bought back up aggressively here on this 935 candle. This candle had just a ridiculous amount of momentum. Basically right above 50.40, and that allowed us to play this high of daybreak into this level, and we had, I believe we had like 170 something wall at what, it was 50.72. So I really wanted to see that break as well. So that was just a bunch of green flags on this trade. Way stronger than the market. Aggressive buying, a lot of momentum, and a pretty sizable wall on level 2 there as well. Now, I do wish that I held for a little bit longer. I was unfortunately letting PLTR's actions affect my mental clarity at this point in time, but either way. Are your little arrows buy and sell indicators? No, they are not. So these arrows indicate when a short-term trend changes. So all the candles that you see that are colored green here, the hollowed candles are green regardless of the color. Or sorry, the hollow candles are bullish candles regardless of the color. The filled candles are bearish candles regardless of the color. So all these that are hollow are green. All these that are filled are red. The colors, or the candles, are painted to represent what sort of short-term trend we are in. So all these that are colored green, it's because we are in a short-term uptrend. And then we get out of this uptrend. Now we are downtrending. And now we are uptrending again. And now we are downtrending, uptrending, downtrending. And those arrows don't get plotted fully until that trend changes. So people, all those like indicators that you see on probably Instagram or whatever, where people are trying to sell you indicators saying, hey, look, it gives you buy and sell orders or whatever. That is pretty much all the same thing, except I will say you cannot rely on that almost at all, because those candles and those arrows, they pop up and they go away, and they pop up and they go away, and they're not actually there plotted on the chart until the trend has actually changed. So if you're trying to use that as a buy or sell indicator, you're going to be too late. So anyways, sneaky tactics there. Sneaky sales tactics. But I'm sure that they are raking it in, so good for them. Good for them. But anyways, yeah, that's what those arrows are. Nothing crazy. I just like having it because I honestly feel like I get a little bit more information out of the chart without having to think about it as much whenever I see, you know, the color of the candle representing the trend we're in. You think the whole market is rigged? No. I mean, I guess it depends what you mean by rigged. Do I think it's out to get us and like impossible to do? No. When I think of something being rigged, I think of it being impossible. Obviously, there's a lot of people with a lot of money, way more than any of us are even capable of imagining, that can, you know, control things. And that's the only reason that we can do this anyways, is because they're controlling things. So no, I don't think it's rigged. I think it's beneficial for, well, more beneficial for people that have those type of capabilities than it is for the majority of retail traders. But yeah, pretty much, Justin. Wall equals heat map. No, Logan. Wall equals a large number of orders on level 2 at a specific price that are waiting to get executed. See, the other thing I'm going to say about that, Justin actually just reminded me that I didn't say that. They are not, like, I would consider it rigged if they were like literally hunting for us to get stopped out. They don't care about our money. That we do not have enough money for them to be specifically targeting each and every one of us. So like, people saying that they get wicked out right at their stop losses, yeah, that might happen, but also it's not because of you. It's because that's where price was going. Like, nobody's out to specifically get you. But yeah, anyways. Can you show that on level 2? Currently, I cannot because there's nothing being actively traded right now. And it's honestly, it's not always there either. Like, majorly important walls are not always there. No problem. All right, guys. Once again, I'm gonna pop up the watch list one last time here, and for anybody that hasn't screenshotted it yet, make sure you screenshot that. Do what you got to do with it, and if you want to trade live with me and the team every single day, click that first link in the description. I'm gonna plug it again. I don't care. This is my channel. Anyways, click that link in the description, and I will see you guys first thing in the morning for pre-market.